The house was quiet, a rare blessing on a Saturday afternoon. My husband Robert was out playing golf, and I thought his son Liam was at a friend's house. I was enjoying the peace, curled up on the sofa with a book, when a sudden muffled sound from upstairs caught my attention. It was a rhythmic thumping, followed by a soft groan. My first thought was that Liam had brought a friend over, or maybe he was just playing a video game a bit too loudly. Curious and a little annoyed that my quiet afternoon might be interrupted, I slowly made my way up the stairs. Liam's door was slightly ajar, which was unusual. He was usually very private. The sounds grew clearer now, a distinct creaking of his bed springs and those soft, stifled noises. A knot of unease formed in my stomach. As I reached the door, I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob. Maybe I should just walk away. Maybe it was nothing. But then a more distinct sound, a kind of gasp, pulled me forward. I pushed the door open just a crack, peeking inside. The sight that met my eyes sent a jolt through me. Liam was on his bed, his back to the door, shirtless. His hand was moving quickly, covered by his blanket. He was clearly engrossed, his body tense, his head thrown back slightly. He was much older now, a young man, not the shy teenager who first came to live with us. My face flushed hot. I had stumbled upon him, not playing a video game, but doing something very private. Embarrassment for both of us washed over me. I felt like the worst stepmother in the world for intruding. But then a different feeling started to bubble up. It wasn't disgust or anger, but a strange mix of sympathy and something akin to fascination. He looked so vulnerable, so lost in his own world. A part of me, a very primal, unexpected part, felt a pull to understand, to maybe even comfort. I pulled back from the door quickly, my heart thumping. I needed a moment to process this, to calm my racing mind. But as I retreated, my foot caught on the edge of the hallway rug. I stumbled, letting out a small yelp. Hey, baby, I know you've been wondering where I've been. Trust me, I've been right here, but this channel's been playing hard to get. So I made a new home just for us. It's called Evelyn's Secret Stories. Same heat, same energy, even deeper secrets. The link's in the description, so slide over there, hit that subscribe button, and let's pick up where we left off. The sound was loud in the quiet house. I froze, holding my breath, hoping he hadn't heard. A moment later, I heard the creaking stop. Panic flared in me. He knew. Mom. His voice was raspy, laced with caution and confusion. My heart sank. There was no going back now. My quiet afternoon had just taken a very, very unexpected turn. I took a deep breath, trying to compose myself, and walked back to his door. I pushed Liam's door open fully this time, stepping inside. He was sitting up now, the blanket pulled high to his chest, his face bright red. His hair was messy, and his eyes, usually so clear and open, were wide with a mix of shock and utter mortification. I'd never seen him look so exposed, so vulnerable. It broke my heart a little, even as my own cheeks burned. Liam, I started, my voice softer than I intended. I didn't mean to barge in. I just heard a noise and I thought. I trailed off, unable to find a believable excuse. He knew. We both knew. The air in the room was thick with unspoken tension, a silence that felt heavier than any words. He wouldn't meet my eyes, staring instead at the wall behind me. It's okay, he mumbled, his voice barely a whisper. I was just... He gestured vaguely, unable to finish his sentence either. We were both caught in this incredibly awkward moment. Instead of scolding him or even acting embarrassed myself, I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. He was a young man exploring his body. It was natural. I took a slow step further into the room, leaning against the doorframe. It's natural, Liam, I said, surprising myself with the words. His head snapped up, his eyes finally meeting mine. There was a flicker of surprise, then something else. Relief? Hope? I wasn't sure. Everyone does it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. He swallowed hard, still clutching the blanket. Right, he whispered, still looking very unsure. I could see the tremor in his hands. He was still so young, still figuring things out. A deep maternal instinct, mixed with something else I couldn't quite name, stirred within me. I wanted to make this less awful for him. I wanted to make him feel okay. Look, I continued, taking another step closer to his bed. I really didn't mean to intrude, but since I did, are you okay? Is everything all right? I tried to keep my tone light, but my heartbeat was still a little fast. He looked at my face, searching for judgment, I suppose. When he found none, a tiny bit of the tension seemed to leave his shoulders. He nodded slowly. Yeah, I'm fine. He still wouldn't look directly at me for long. I sat down gently on the edge of his bed, keeping a respectful distance, but close enough to show I wasn't running away. The blanket shifted, and I caught a quick glimpse of his bare leg. My breath hitched. It was just a leg, but the intimacy of the situation made everything feel heightened. Good, I said, trying to smile reassuringly. Good? Just, if you ever have any questions or just need to talk, I'm here. Seriously. But as I said the words, I felt a confusing warmth spread through me. It wasn't just about being a good stepmom anymore. It was something deeper, something that felt both forbidden and intensely real. I got to ask, why haven't you subscribed to the new channel yet? Same lips, same voice, just a little more dangerous. Evelyn's Secret Stories, links down below. The air in Liam's room was still thick with the previous tension, but my words seemed to have broken some of the ice. He looked up at me, his eyes searching. Really? He asked, his voice still a bit shaky. You wouldn't tell Dad? I shook my head immediately. Never. This is between you and me, Liam. Always. The promise felt weighty, binding us in a new, unspoken way. As I said it, I realized how much I meant it. This secret, this shared moment, was ours alone. A strange sense of intimacy enveloped us. He finally relaxed a fraction, letting out a shaky breath. Thanks, Mom, he whispered, using the word mom with a sincerity that warmed me to my core. It wasn't just a title. It felt like he truly meant it. In that moment, I reached out without really thinking and gently placed my hand on his arm, just above the blanket. His skin felt warm beneath my fingertips, a natural heat that surprised me. He didn't flinch away. In fact, he looked at my hand, then up at my face, a question in his eyes. My touch was meant to be comforting, a gesture of reassurance. But as my fingers lingered, I felt a different kind of spark, a subtle current, a low hum of connection that was completely unexpected. It's nothing to be ashamed of, I repeated, my voice softer this time, almost a whisper. My thumb unconsciously stroked his arm for a moment. He shivered slightly, though I wasn't sure if it was from cold or something else. I felt a blush creep up my own neck, realizing the duration of my touch, but still, I didn't pull away. He didn't either. He started, then paused. He seemed to be struggling with finding the right words. Sometimes it's just hard to figure stuff out. He finally looked down at the blanket, his grip still tight. My heart ached for him. He was at that age, full of new feelings, new urges, and probably a lot of confusion. I know, I said, my voice gentle. It can be confusing. It can feel like a lot. I moved my hand from his arm, letting my fingers rest lightly on the edge of the blanket. It was a small movement, but it felt significant. I know some of you have been wondering where I've been. I never left. I just moved to a new channel, Evelyn's Secret Stories. Same energy, new space. Come find me. He finally lifted his gaze back to mine, and this time, his eyes held a new kind of openness. How do people, He gestured vaguely, seeking guidance. It was clear he was asking for more than just a chat. He was asking for understanding, for a different kind of connection. A strange feeling bloomed in my chest. It was a mix of maternal care, yes, but also a rising curiosity, a forbidden impulse. I felt a warmth spread through me, a feeling of being wanted in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. My husband and I, our physical connection had dwindled over the years. But here, with Liam, there was a raw, unadulterated need. I took a breath, my mind racing. This was a dangerous path, but something within me felt compelled to follow it. Sometimes, I began, my voice a little husky now. It helps to know what feels good to explore. I let my eyes meet his, a silent question passing between us. He didn't look away. Instead, his gaze dropped to my lips for a fleeting moment, then back to my eyes. The unspoken question lingered, potent and undeniable. The silence stretched between us, charged with a new, potent energy. Liam's eyes, wide and searching, seemed to be asking me to continue, to explain. And as I looked at him, truly looked at this young man who was struggling, who was asking for help, I felt a powerful urge to give him what he needed. Not just words, but something more, something that felt right, even as it screamed wrong in the back of my mind. "It's about touch," I began, my voice barely a whisper. I moved my hand, letting it rest gently, almost accidentally, on the blanket that still covered his lap. My fingers brushed softly against the fabric, and I felt the heat of his body radiating through it. He tensed slightly but didn't pull away. "It's about understanding your own body, what makes it feel good." His gaze was fixed on my hand. I could see the pulse throbbing in his neck. My own heart was drumming a frantic rhythm against my ribs. This was it, the point of no return. But I felt a strange sense of calm, a certainty that this was what was meant to happen. Slowly, deliberately, I reached for the edge of the blanket. My eyes met his again, seeking permission. He just watched me, a silent assent in his gaze. With a soft tug, I slowly pulled the blanket down, revealing what he had been hiding. My breath hitched. It was fully hard, proud, and jutting out, a testament to his youth and biology. I didn't look away. Instead, I let my gaze linger, taking it all in. I wanted him to know there was no shame, no disgust, only acceptance. He flushed a deeper red, but for the first time, a small, tentative smile touched his lips. It was a mix of embarrassment and genuine relief. "You're okay?" I murmured, my voice soft. I reached out, my fingers trembling slightly, and gently wrapped my hand around him. The warmth, the hardness, the slight tremor that went through his body at my touch, it was all incredibly potent. A gasp escaped his lips, a sound of pure, raw pleasure. I moved my hand slowly, mimicking the rhythm I had heard earlier, but with a deliberate, gentle pressure that was new to him. His eyes closed, his head falling back against the pillow. A soft groan escaped him. My heart pounded, but I felt a strange sense of rightness, of fulfilling a deep, unspoken need. I leaned closer, my mouth near his ear. "Relax," I whispered. "Just let go." I continued my movements, feeling his body respond, his breathing growing heavier. His hand, which had been clenched, slowly uncurled, and he reached out, his fingers fumbling slightly as they touched my hair, then my cheek. His touch was hesitant, seeking. I turned my head, and his fingers brushed against my lips. It was a simple touch, but it ignited another spark, a recognition of something more. I felt myself leaning in, craving the connection, the intimacy that was blooming between us in this forbidden space. This wasn't just helping. This was something else entirely, something primal, something deeply human and utterly, wonderfully taboo. A shudder ran through Liam's body, and a choked cry escaped his lips as he came. My hand was slick, still wrapped around him, feeling the warmth of his release. He lay back, panting, his eyes still closed, a look of profound relief and exhaustion on his face. I pulled my hand away slowly, gently. There was a moment of silence, broken only by his ragged breathing. I watched him, my own heart rate slowly returning to normal. A mix of emotions swirled within me, a rush of exhilaration, a tinge of guilt, and a powerful sense of having done something momentous, something irreversible. He finally opened his eyes, looking up at me. His gaze was softer now, less panicked, more vulnerable. He offered a small, shy smile. "Wow," he whispered, his voice still a little breathless. "Thank you." My heart squeezed. That simple thank you was all I needed. It validated everything, at least in that moment. I reached out, smoothing his damp hair away from his forehead. "You're welcome, sweetie," I murmured, the endearment slipping out naturally. Felt right. He reached up, his hand covering mine where it rested on his forehead. His touch was hesitant but firm. He didn't pull away this time. Instead, he simply held my hand, his thumbs stroking my skin lightly. The connection was still there, palpable and strong. I don't know what to say," he finally said, his gaze dropping to our intertwined hands. "You don't have to say anything," I replied softly. "Just know that you're not alone, and that it's okay. What you're feeling, I trailed off, not wanting to put a label on it. Not yet. But he understood. The unspoken words hung in the air, a new layer of understanding between us. He looked back up at me, his eyes full of a new kind of emotion. Gratitude, affection, and something else, something intensely personal and intimate. Could we ever again?" he asked, his voice barely audible, full of hope and trepidation. My breath caught. The question was laid bare. I knew the answer even before I voiced it. The idea of doing it again, of exploring this new, forbidden territory, sent a thrill through me that silenced any remaining doubts. My body hummed with a quiet anticipation. I leaned in, pressing a soft kiss to his forehead. "Maybe," I whispered, pulling back just enough to look into his eyes. "But this is our secret, Liam. Ours alone. No one can ever know." He nodded vigorously, his eyes serious. "I promise. Our secret." He squeezed my hand, a silent vow passing between us. The weight of the secret was heavy, but it was also exhilarating, binding us in a way nothing else ever could. I stayed with him for a little longer, just sitting, watching him, feeling the warmth of his hand in mine. The afternoon had completely transformed. The quiet house was no longer just quiet. It was filled with the reverberations of our shared intimacy, the thrilling hum of a taboo crossed. When I finally left his room, I felt lighter, more alive, and utterly committed to the secret we now shared. The line had been crossed, and there was no going back. The days that followed were a blur of heightened senses and unspoken glances. Liam and I moved around the house with a new kind of awareness, a subtle pull between us that only we could feel. Our interactions, once casual and familial, now held a deeper current. A brush of hands in the kitchen, a lingering gaze across the dinner table, a knowing smile when my husband, Robert, wasn't looking. These small moments became charged with meaning, a secret language only we understood. The guilt was there, a dull ache in the background, but it was overshadowed by an intoxicating thrill. The secrecy itself was a powerful aphrodisiac, deepening the bond between us. We were partners in this forbidden dance, bound by a shared experience that was both terrifying and exhilarating. One evening, after Robert had gone to bed, I found Liam in the living room, ostensibly watching TV, but his eyes were on me the moment I entered. The house was dark, save for the soft glow of the screen. I sat down on the sofa next to him, leaving a small space between us. The air crackled with anticipation. "Rough day?" I asked, my voice low. He shrugged, his gaze flicking to the hallway, ensuring Robert was truly asleep. "Just thinking," he murmured, then turned to me, his eyes dark and intense in the dim light. "About us?" My heart hammered. "About us," I repeated, my voice barely a breath. He nodded, then reached out, his hand gently settling on my thigh. It was a bold move, confident this time, not hesitant. I didn't flinch. Instead, I leaned into his touch, a shiver running down my spine. His fingers began to stroke my skin through my jeans, a slow, deliberate rhythm that sent warmth spreading through me. "I can't stop thinking about it," he confessed, leaning closer. His voice was husky, raw with desire. "Or about you." My own desire flared, a powerful force that eclipsed any lingering reservations. "Me neither," I admitted, my hand finding his, intertwining our fingers. His touch was electric, a stark contrast to the familiar, almost brotherly touches of the past. This was new, exciting, and utterly consuming. We spent many nights like that, after Robert was asleep or when he was away. Our encounters became more frequent, more adventurous. We explored each other's bodies with a newfound passion and curiosity, always careful, always silent, always bound by the sacredness of our secret. The help I had offered him that first day had blossomed into a full-blown, deeply intimate relationship. It was a dangerous game, living a double life. Every shared glance, every stolen touch, every hushed conversation carried the risk of exposure. But for us, the risk only amplified the sweetness of the forbidden. We were two souls who found solace and passion in a place no one would ever expect, building a world of our own, hidden in plain sight. Our taboo romance became our new normal,